He is an accomplished cyclist from India and now finding himself in Canada working as in the IT sector. Mayank, really, I didn't know Mayank from before. Only until recently on Facebook, I connected with him and happened to read about his exploits on Zwift. I actually saw him up in the list on the Zwift rankings for country. When you classify by country, you can see Mayank is quite up there. So yeah, I was curious what who might this be, because I'm generally very curious about uh, athletes who do well such platforms, and it's good to connect. And that's how I came to know about Mayank's 24-hour TT, which is something so extraordinary, so out there, that I thought, hey, might be good to connect with him and maybe invite him to share some of his thoughts on this uh, crazy event. 24 hours, it's like quite a fringe event, really. I mean, it looks like this is something that was organized by a group, Irregulars Ultra. I'm not quite aware of all the stuff that they do. It looks like they're more into the in real life racing, but I think in this instance,
this was the first time they did something virtual.
First time they hosted an event like this, and so Mayank, you participated and you really came on top, racing for 24 hours, but also clocking something like 770 kilometers, virtual kilometers, for those listeners who kind of get pissed off about virtual versus in real life distances. But either way, it's quite a remarkable feat. So without further ado, I think I'm going to give you the hot seat, Mayank, whatever you want to call it. You can just give us a rundown of what this was, how this interested you, and how you went about planning it. Take maybe 15-20 minutes.
Sure.
And if anyone has questions, I recommend you wait till the end and note it down as you go, and then we'll ask questions in the end. Everyone will have about 10 minutes. Okay. Mayank?
Sounds good. Well, thanks, Ron. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. It's glad to be here, and I really appreciate you setting something like this up. And the open source concept is amazing. It's always good to share the knowledge with everyone. Really needed in today's times, especially for the Indian athletes, because this knowledge needs to go out and everyone needs to know about all these things. So I'll just quickly tell you about the event. So before the event, I was actually not training for this particular event. I was training for some other event, which was a local event here in Canada. It's an 800-kilometer RAM qualifier, and I was going to do that in the month of September. It just happened a few weeks back. I was actually training for that, and I started my training in the month of March. So I came to Canada last year, and I came without my bike, without anything. Like I just had 2 bags, and I came here, got a job, tried to settle down, and then I started purchasing all my cycling equipments once I got a job here. I got a job in the month of Jan, then I got a trainer in the month of Feb, and I started training in the month of Feb then. Right away. And the event in my site was this Defi Bonneville, which was going to happen in September. Started my training on the indoor trainer because in February, it's quite cold in Canada, so you're not able to go out. It remains cold, like the snow remains till the month of April. So it's like you hardly get warm days to go out. So indoor training is the only solution. And as a matter of fact, I also love indoor training. So it was all good for me. I guess in the month of, so Feb, I started training. June or yeah, in the month of June, I got to know about this event that they're going to conduct a 24-hour virtual time trial. So they were actually going irregulars. They were actually going to conduct some other event. I don't remember the name of it, which was going to happen in real life. Pandemic situation, they couldn't do it, so they decided to do a virtual event instead of that. This was a virtual 24-hour time trial. It was also a 12-hour time trial and also a 6-hour time trial if anyone wants to attempt that. And they conducted it on Zwift. So there's a route called Tempus Fugit on Zwift, which is a very flat route. It's a 17.3 kilometer route, hardly has any elevation gain. And we just had to do loops of that circuit. And the one who does the maximum distance would obviously win. My target for the event, so as soon as I came to know about the event, I was very much excited, and I wanted to do it because I was also new to Zwift. I started Zwifting this year only. Like before that, I had never used Zwift. I always used to train on Trainer Road. And I decided to jump on Zwift just because there was an opportunity to do races on Zwift. And that was very exciting for me. So weekdays, I used to do my regular Trainer Road workouts. And on weekends, I used to do Zwift racing. So every weekend on Saturday and Sunday, I used to do 2 races. So every weekend, every week I used to do 2 races. And that really helped me in my training. The whole weekday, I used to just follow the plan on Trainer Road and just do my regular workouts. And on weekends, I used to just smash it, just go crazy and do well in the races. Zwift racing is actually a very different kind of a game. It's not like outdoor racing, but the core concept of racing remains the same. Like you get to draft and final sprint and things like that. There's also a team aspect in Zwift. I also ended up joining a virtual team called VCRT. And VCRT has riders from all over the world. We have riders from Germany, France, Belgium, UK, South Africa, Australia, many countries, even Canada. So that was a good experience. I got to join their team and do races along with them, understand the team aspect, how we used to try and make one of our riders win the race. And that also used to be successful at times. So that used to help, actually helped a lot in my training, my overall training. And I saw my functional threshold increase. Like every week I used to get a notification on Zwift that, my functional threshold has changed. So that was a good sight. When I got to know about the 24-hour event, I decided, okay, let me tweak my plan, because I was originally training for the Defi Bonneville, which was happening in September, and this was 1 month before, on 15th August. So I tweaked my plan according to the event, so that I get my peak performance right at the time of the event. And I decided to do a 6-hour recce, 6-hour mock race sort of a thing. So I discussed it with a friend, Rajendra Bhaskar, you must be knowing him. He did the 12-hour time trial and he won that by a good margin. So he and I are good friends. We know each other from before, and he is based in the UK. So the time sort of, the time difference is only of 5 hours. So we managed to do rides together at times. And we do races also together. He's also part of a virtual team. So he could understand what I was doing, and I could understand what he's doing. So I told him that, like, let's do a 6-hour mock race, and he was up for it. We also decided to post it on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. If anyone wants to join it, we got a good response. I guess there were 21 riders who signed up for it. and we got 12 riders finally on the start line, and 10 of us managed to finish it. And that was exactly on the same route, Tempus Fugit, ride as much as you want, ride as much as you can, and the one who does the maximum would win. So like for 5 hours, Rajendra and I were exactly riding with each other. So we were on time trial bikes, and on drafting is not allowed on time trial bikes, so it doesn't happen. So you don't get that benefit on a time trial bike on Zwift. And after 5 hours, I took a lead and I won by just a kilometer or 2, I guess, from him. He had to stop because he had to refill, and there was no one to help him actually. So he had to just get up and get a refill. Otherwise, it would have been maybe a final sprint to decide the winner. So that event helped me a lot. I decided to have the exact same setup that I wanted to have in the 24-hour race. I had a small table next to me on which I had all my nutrition, everything placed. And in such long races, training is definitely an aspect. There's also an aspect of mental preparedness. There's an aspect of nutrition, which is really important. And when I came to Canada, so that was kind of an advantage for me because I had access to a lot of quality nutrition options. So I had scabs. I tried scabs right from started training in the month of Feb. It really worked for me well. The hydration is excellent. It has very subtle, doesn't make you feel as if you're consuming something artificial. So it feels like you're just drinking what you're supposed to drink. And it also claims the same thing, that it replaces what you are losing in terms of liquids. So that used scabs. I also used an energy drink from GU. So this is the GU Roctane energy drink. I also used BCAA, Extend BCAA, and few GU gels, few Cliff shots, and also a recovery drink from Scratch Labs. So these things were there in my 6-hour time trial. I made sure to not drink a lot, although it's a risky thing, because I didn't want to stop to pee. And that's the thing in Zwift, if you stop, your speed goes to 0, and you're not moving, and that's a big disadvantage. And the other riders might take lead on during that. So I wanted to don't stop at all in the 6-hour race. I had to do it non-stop. And I was never targeting the distance. I was never watching what speed am I at, what distance am I at. I was the only thing that I had in my focus was how much power am I putting. So I did a lot of recce's of that circuit. I did recce's at every watt per kg, at 2.9, at 2.8, 2.7, because I knew I could hold that amount of watt per kg for 6 hours. So just based on that, I calculated how much time am I going to take for that loop. And based on that, I planned the whole 6-hour ride. And I guess I managed to do 3.1 or 3.2 for 6 hours. And I did 230 kilometers, which is irrelevant actually. The distance doesn't matter. What matters is how much power are you putting. And that was the only focus that I had. And I applied the same thing in my 24-hour time trial as well. So I wanted to make sure that I'm putting not less, not more power. So I have been into ultra racing before. And in my previous ultra racing experience, I've learned that I tend to go a little fast initially. And then towards the end, I burn out. And I end up having a lot of off-saddle time. So off-saddle time, I wanted to reduce my off-saddle time in this one. I made a target of 30 to 40 minutes of off-saddle for the whole 24 hours, not more than that. Although it was a little ambitious for me because I've never done that sort of a thing before. The maximum that I've ridden indoors is for 10, a little more than 10 hours. That was during a virtual Everesting. Sorry. The virtual Everesting also I did as a part of the training as well, just to see if I can, sit for that long. Obviously, I didn't want to do anything close to 24 hours because that would have induced a lot of fatigue, and I didn't want that. So a very important aspect in terms of training for 24 hours was the plan that I had to make. So I didn't want to do any experiment and just go by feel. Obviously, going by feel is also important, but having a plan is also really, really important for me, because I don't want to be driven by my emotions during the race. I wanted to just follow up my plan, what's there for the race. And I made the plan using the data of a lot of elite athletes like Marco Ballo and a lot of other riders who've done 24-hour races. So I saw their 24-hour efforts. They have it on their Strava. I saw that they used to do 0.6, 0.65 intensity factor for the whole duration of 24 hours. And I knew that I cannot do 0.6, 0.65, obviously, because it's too much. So I thought, okay, let's do 0.55 or maybe 0.5. So I made a target, made a plan according to 0.55. So I would start at 0.7 and then gradually move to 0.68, 0.65, 0.62, 0.6, and slowly decrease it. So negative splits, basically. That was the plan. I started off right on my plan. And I guess after 2 hours, I realized that I won't be able to stick to the plan because it's too ambitious and I might burn out. So I decided to slow down a little, put a little less power. And yeah, so that worked. I also made sure to consume a little less amount of liquids so that I don't have to stop and pee. So my first scheduled break was at 6 hours. After 3 hours, I was feeling absolutely fine. And that's when I decided to go a little slow because my competition was also far behind me. So next in line was Kabir, who was chasing me. He was at 3 hours, he was around 5 minutes behind. And I was keeping a close check on him that, he doesn't overtake me and I don't stop. And we're all friends, right? So we were just discussing with each other, like, when are you going to stop? And I was asking him, when are you going to stop? And obviously we were not telling each other, just friendly banter going on during the race. Then I knew I had to break at 6 hours, but after 6 hours also I was feeling good. And I was like, no, I don't think I need to stop. And he was stopping in every 2 to 3 hours. He was taking a pee break, which was actually slowing him down. I wasn't riding faster than him. We were actually putting almost the same amount of power. But the reason that he was taking pee breaks used to, I was gaining time on him. That was the only reason I was gaining time on him. And that was a good advantage for me. So I didn't want to stop at 6 hours because I was feeling good. So I continued. But then after 8 hours, I was like, I'm still feeling good. I mean, is there something wrong? Am I too excited for the race? Am I doing something wrong? So just out of fear, I took a short break of 2 to 3 minutes, just, so that I don't get tired and I don't blow out. I had a fear at that time, and I took a break at 8.5 hours around. I just roamed around in the hall that you see behind. I just roamed around, thought, okay, am I doing everything right? Is it okay? I just sat on a chair for a while. Till now, I haven't peed. So I was feeling okay, and I was like, okay, let's get on the bike. I'm feeling good. It's okay. And my next stop was at 12 hours. Again, 12 hours went by, and I wasn't feeling bad. Uh, I was completely okay. I decided to push out forward, and I was continuously gaining time on all the other riders. So that was a motivating factor as well. I made sure to uh, eat and drink just enough so that I don't burn out. So I don't dehydrate or be famished. I didn't want that. I wanted to eat enough and also drink just enough, not more. At times I did feel like I need to pee, but the feeling went off after some time, fortunately. uh, then after 12 hours also, I didn't feel like stopping. After 15 hours, one thing just struck me, that like I had a look on my shorts, and my shorts were completely white of salt. And I knew that I'm losing a lot of salts, but I'm not having any cramps. Everything was fine. And this feeling just came into my mind that I want to take a shower, and I'll feel much better after that. And once I take a shower, I'll be fresh, and then I'll just go all out. I won't stop again till 24 hours. So at 15 or 15 and a half hours, I took a quick shower break. It was a 9-minute break, and I changed my shorts, applied chamois, all set, and just came on the bike again. I was fully fresh, refreshed again. I was very happy, and uh, that because of that, I was able to put more power for the next 1 or 2 hours because I was totally fresh again. And by then, I was not following the plan. I was just going by feel because I wanted to just follow the plan for the half of the race and then go according to what the competition is doing. So I knew that competition is far behind, and now it's just me and my race. That's it. And I wanted to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can. Although there was less motivation for it because there was no one who was challenging me. If there was some challenge, I would have gone faster maybe. So I slacked a bit. I wasn't going that fast. And after like 18 to 20 hours, the last 6 hours was really difficult mentally, not physically, because physically I was fine. I didn't. I wasn't tired. I was obviously tired, but that point wasn't. I didn't hit that point. I didn't hit the wall like, okay, I'm done. I'm bonking. I don't want to pedal anymore. I wanted to pedal anymore, but I was mentally tired. So that's when my wife really helped me. She came out of her room. So she made sure that she talked me a lot. We watched together back to back. That helped me to, and yeah, it was, and soon it was like 1 hour to go, and then 30 minutes, and finally the race was over. Again, I wasn't keeping a track of how much distance am I doing. I just wanted to hit the right power numbers, and finally I achieved, I guess, 0.52 IF. My target was 0.55, so I was a little off, but still happy with 0.52. Another interesting thing that I did in my nutrition was that I made sure that every 3 hours I take something new, like some either sprouts or ice cream or watermelon, or even I even took pizza or just potato chips. So I made sure that every 3 hours my wife was bringing something new for me to eat, and I was always looking forward to that. So that used to keep me going. That okay, I'm going to get something new to eat now every 3 hours. So that really helped me to stay on the bike, and yeah, just keep going. So yeah, that is in short how I did the whole 24-hour TT.
Wow, that's amazing. We actually have about 7 minutes. Can you hear me, Mayank?
Yes, yes, I
Yeah,
can hear you.
7 minutes. But just really quick, something that really sprung out at me is the fact that you um, around 15-hour mark, you got off the bike and you went for a shower. That
Yeah,
that I think it almost like in a way it also acted like a psychological boost because your
yes,
shorts were wet, your skin was completely dirty, and you
yes,
went and cleaned yourself. I think so. So I think it had a psychological boost there. It kind of like
absolutely.
it's kind of like real world racing where you're doing ultra racing, where you stop and some people are pampering you, people are cleaning your body, people are giving you food. That so it acts like an analog to the in real world pampering, I guess, in a way. So both are psychological. So I think that's a good lessons learned for anyone attempting to do something like this. Is psychology helps. Even last Zoom meeting we were talking about psychology, and don't discount it when you have such long events and your mind is playing games with you. Sometimes these kind of things really works wonders. So um, that's great. um, One point, I mean, you for anyone who is willing to read the backstory, that it's available on Facebook, on Mayank's Facebook. But something you noted there was gut training, a word we
Yes.
often hear with really long duration events such as Ironman and stuff. How did you go about that? Did you feel any issues with your gut as you were trying to absorb all this food, sitting on your
Mhm.
table, or were you more careful with how much you eat as a function of time? I mean, how did you overcome that? If you had an issue, I'm not sure if there was a
So,
problem there.
fortunately, I didn't face any issues. I was consuming solids throughout the race. And even after 24-hour race, I just had a normal dinner and I didn't get any cotton throats or didn't feel any GI issues. Maybe it had to do with the kind of products that I took. So, like I mentioned about Scratch Labs, their products are really amazing and it feels like you're actually having some good food and didn't upset my stomach at all. And this is the issue that I had faced in all the previous ultra races that I've done. And this is the first time that I didn't face anything like that. And the only difference was the brand of product that I was taking. So maybe it had to do with the brand, or maybe the fact that I was taking a lot of natural stuff as well. So I ate a lot of sprouts, a lot of dal khichdi, which I didn't used to do in my previous attempts. And I had planned to take some pizza as well because I learned this from Kabir because he did eat a lot of pizza during his RAM. So I crewed for him in RAM last year, and I was really surprised, like how is he performing by eating pizza? And he told me that I made sure that my gut is used to digest this type of food. So I made sure to eat pizza like 2 to 3 months before my race also, so that on the race day also I eat pizza and it's okay. It's not something new. Otherwise, I'm like a stickler to good food and quality food, and I don't indulge in all these uh,
Yeah.
all these type of foods.
So you're
So
saying you trained yourself with that kind of food. You were familiar with
yes,
what you were eating. Nothing was new to you.
yeah, nothing was.
Yeah, and that on that pizza bit, I've heard about Dean Karnazes, who is still considered one of the original ultra runners of
Mhm.
US. And if you read his book, um, he's got many, but one of the books where he
Mhm.
talks about how he got into ultra running, he would just go out on these midnight runs and he would stop at pizza shops and have pizza as meal. So nothing bad about pizza as long as you're familiar with the food and your body can take it.
Yeah.
Um, Great. We've got very little time. In fact, if anyone wants to shoot a real quick question, you're allowed to. Guys from the audience,
Just
anyone
a quick
wants?
one before I leave. I just Mayank, that is a fantastic achievement, I must say. Really, really great.
Thanks.
Just want to check, what was the average you actually set out for the whole event?
It was around 150 watts.
Okay. And you had about, say, 6 meals altogether throughout?
So I didn't have meals. I continuously I was having some of the other food in small bits. I didn't have a proper meal during the race.
Okay. But at intervals of 3 hours is what you were having a major sort of eat, and in between you would have still something else to bite.
So like what my wife did was she used to give me a big bowl of whatever food that she gave, and I ate it over the period of next 1 or 2 hours. I didn't eat it immediately.
Okay, great, lovely. I'm sorry, I've already told Ron that I have another webinar to attend, but
no issues, Amish. We're just about to end. We got 1 minute, so we are about to end anyway.
Okay, great, good going. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayank. If anyone has any additional questions, we can take it offline. Since this is a free account, we don't have much time, but it's nice we could end on time so others can go and do whatever they want to do. But we'll continue the conversation on WhatsApp. And so thank you so much, Mayank, for your time today, and all the best for the future ultras that you've got coming up.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot. And yeah, we'll take it offline.
Thank you. Yep.